is the Stubborn German podcast, coming to you from the very active Stubborn German Brewing Company here in also active Waterloo, Illinois. I'm Kevin Ostie, joined by the proprietor of the Stubborn German Brewing Company, Mr. Chris Ron.
Bosch is los.
Bosch is los. We'll find out. Also joined by Jared Chasson, our esteemed producer.
A good evening to you.
Good evening to you as well.
Thank
and
you.
Our very special guest this episode is Mr. Jeremy Shannon. Welcome.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Gentlemen, where?
Gentlemen. Easy with all those accusations.
Just wait.
We're going to get to the bottom of that in a moment. But, Jeremy, are you familiar with the little contest that happens on this podcast called the German Word of the Day?
I had heard of that. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, it's still happening, unfortunately.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, I have a word for you. The German word of the day, short and sweet, it is Bart.
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 Can you spell it?
B-A-R-T, Bart.
Oh, okay.
Just like Bart Simpson,
Well,
but not Bart Simpson.
obviously.
Because we're cordial here on the Stubborn German podcast, we always will allow our guests to go first. We welcome them.
Okay, well, I've been saying for a while they need a German word for the schmutz that drips out of a barrel.
Schmutz.
Yes.
That's
The
actually
schmutz.
Yiddish, I think.
It might be. It might.
Yeah.
I don't know another word
Okay.
for it, to be honest with you.
The schmutz that drips out of the empty barrel after it's had beer in it.
Schmutz.
There you go.
So
Yep.
he's thinking more on,
Barrel-aged beers.
got it.
So that Schmutz is Bart.
That's Bart.
I gotcha.
Kevin, I will politely let you give a stab at it.
Nice. All right. Well, it's unusual that we have a German word with one syllable and
It
only
is.
4
You're right
letters.
about that.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, and not to encroach on your turf there, Jeremy, but I'm going to say it's a drop.
A drop.
Okay.
All right, drop.
Just kind of think it's a drop.
That's
Oh,
totally
yeah.
that's totally encroaching, even though you said not to encroach. But it's okay.
He said not, so
I
it's
don't
fine.
mean to encroach.
We won't throw the
Yes.
flag then.
Yep. No,
It's like
fine.
when somebody says, not to be a
Not
Sure, no offense.
But here it
Here it
comes.
comes.
Get ready for
offense
this.
taken. I'm going to say along the lines of
Oh God.
some hops, maybe some whatever cleaning supplies. A bucket.
A bucket. Didn't we
A
already
Bart
do
is
bucket
a bucket.
once?
Did we?
By the way,
Damn it.
we
I
are,
don't think it was Bart, but okay.
we're not very smart.
We are not.
No, we're not.
Uh-oh.
Because he's back
Is there
on
an
his
obvious-
trend
Yes.
of lining up the word.
Chris
with
went
the
back
guest.
to
Yes.
the theme-oriented
Oh,
words.
yeah.
Or
Okay.
am I?
He got away with that,
Yeah.
away from that for a little
He
while
did.
there.
That being said, what is the theme of this episode?
He whipped it out last episode.
Well, it's kind of a two-parter. We've got Jeremy, who's our head brewer here at the brewery, and we're going to talk about barrel-aged beer. So that's kind of the
It's barrel. That's my word.
barrel. You're changing it from
Dang it.
drop to barrel.
I like
So
drop more.
obvious.
Okay, I'm going to write drop /
Drop barrel.
barrel. Okay, now no more editing.
All right.
Okay,
Final answer.
that's the final answer. All right, tune
Now,
in.
some of our listeners may not know what barrel-aged beer is. What is barrel-aged
How
beer?
could they not know what
I mean,
barrel-aged
they probably know, but
Okay, so
One of our listeners.
Jeremy, why don't you take this one? I talked enough.
Well, it's where you take a barrel of something that was previously in there. It's usually bourbon. A lot of times it's wine or a sherry cask. Sometimes, in our case, we're doing a tequila barrel right now. And then you, after it's been emptied, you take some beer and you put it in there. The process of the beer sitting in that barrel for sometimes 6 months, sometimes 2 years, oxygenates the beer because the staves on the barrel are porous and will let air get in there, and it brings out flavors that you wouldn't normally get. So that's why we barrel age beer.
You know, real fast, what is the definition of a sherry?
Stuff that your grandma cooks with.
Well, yeah. And
I don't know. It's kind of like a sort of like a brandy of some sort. It's a fortified wine that's distilled or something like that.
It's a stronger wine, yeah.
yeah.
But it's distilled though.
I
or is it
believe
not?
it's distilled from wine, right? Is that what it is?
I thought
That would
so.
make
I always have to
totally,
look those up,
talking
like
out my head.
cognac and sherry.
Right.
And
Oh, that's
all
cognac that I'm thinking of.
Wait,
I
yeah,
don't know.
they're all a little different.
Related.
Too fancy for
Related
us.
but different.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah,
All right, makes sense.
there you go.
Okay,
but
so
as to Walter-
the question that I would have
Yes.
as a novice, does it really make that much difference when you age a beer in a
Oh,
barrel
Jared.
of, let's say, bourbon?
Yes.
It makes
Okay.
a huge difference.
A huge difference.
Oh,
Okay.
Should we dive right into one of the tastings?
Sure.
That's
That's
a great
probably
idea.
No
the
time
best
Why
to
is
thing
it
to do.
always, there's my other question, why is it always dark beer? Like, can you barrel age a lager?
You can put anything you want into a barrel.
Right.
I mean, literally anything you want. You
could
literally.
put
But, like, the
tricycle
barrel-aged
if you
beers
want.
are always dark
you could chop
beers.
it up, dump it in
Okay,
there. Yeah.
sorry that
Like
I...
your
you need
tricycle would taste like
A large
bourbon.
bunghole for a
Yes,
Oh, this
you
one
got
be
to have a
tequila.
huge bunghole.
So many bung
Which one are we doing?
jokes.
This one?
Let's do the big one first.
The big
This-
one.
This here, Prost.
Prost to
Prost,
that.
Prost.
This one is our Blanton's barrel aged.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, fancy.
Not messing
Imperial
around.
Stout. So it's, I don't know, 12, 13% alcohol, and it sat a year plus in a Blanton's barrel. And
I can totally tell.
Can you?
What can you tell?
I can tell fibs.
stories.
No, you definitely get an overtone of bourbon in that.
Yeah.
I like this one because it's not overly hot. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
we'll put a
Yeah.
beer in a bourbon barrel and it'll come out and it'll just be really hot.
This
Yeah,
also
I mean,
has,
if you told me that was 13%, no way would I think that.
this is a little chocolatey, a little mocha, perhaps.
So a couple things happened in that barrel. So as it sits there for a year and a half, as this one did, it mellows. The beer itself mellows. Never mind that we put it into a bourbon barrel. It could have sat in a stainless keg that whole time, and it's going to mellow out. When you drink them, these imperial stouts, when you have a taste right off of the fermenter, like a week or two after brew day, they're terrible. They're
Right.
bitter. They're way out of balance. They're boozy. The alcohol is crazy.
I
But
thought that
you
was
let 'em
interesting
sit.
because you said that in the you recently had a Facebook post about this, and you said like it's kind of terrible when it comes
Yeah.
out, and then
Yeah.
you put it in the barrel for
Well, you know.
a year or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is my mindset is different about drinking this beer because I was not normally a huge dark beer guy.
Right.
But now that I'm expecting and I understand
Yeah.
that it was barrel aged in Blanton's, now it's like, oh, now I get it.
Not so crazy anymore. Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah, and so
I
yeah,
agree.
it mellows out and it picks up the flavor of whatever was in that barrel right before, which in this case was Blanton's bleach, Blanton's bleach.
No,
Not
for
bleach.
sure, it does pick it up. Yeah. I
So,
get it.
what did this start as? What kind of beer would you describe it as? What is it?
This started as an imperial stout.
Imperial Stout.
Yep.
Which
And,
I would say any day of the week I would not go to that beer, but this is good. I'm enjoying it.
Thanks. Yeah,
I think this is a really good one. I
Good
think
job,
it
guys.
picked up a lot of the flavor of the Blanton's barrel.
for sure.
It was normally, a chocolatey, roasty flavor, and then we picked up some of the different flavors from the Blanton's barrel that gave it the caramel, a little bit of vanilla and some oak in there.
Yeah. And the cool part about this one and a lot of our barrel-aged beers is that we're able to pick the barrel that we want because we do these barrel picks of bourbon. So as I'm doing
Right.
a barrel pick of bourbon, I'm thinking in my head, like, what's going to make the best beer? Number one, I want the bourbon to taste really, really good. But number two, I want the beer that I'm going to put in that barrel when we get it. Because when you buy the barrel of bourbon, they give you the empty barrel.
Okay.
A pallet shows up, and it's a bunch of cases of bottled whiskey. You never get like the barrel
Right.
with
You
with
don't
the
have to
whiskey
bottle
in
it yourself.
No. You don't have to. They do that for you.
That would be a hassle.
Yes,
It
it
would
would
be
be a
awesome.
hassle. But you get you get the empty barrel that it was in. So
cool.
So that's kind of one of the perks. So we picked this
Is that
barrel.
kind of across the board? Like they all mostly do that? Give you
For the
barrel?
most part, yeah. There's a couple brands that don't,
Nice.
or they'll just give you a generic barrel, and
Yeah.
we just don't use those. Or sometimes we use them, but not for we know that we'll use them more for blending. Like if we're going to do an El Diablo or anything that we're going to add other flavors to. Those are good candidates for that. But if we pick the barrel because I thought that whiskey would be great and the beer in that barrel would be good too, we make sure to kind of keep that on its own, which is the case here. So.
But you definitely want to start with a good beer as you pour it in the barrel because it's not going to turn something that's horrible into something great just because of barrel time.
The consistency is key because you're looking for a base beer that you can bring to different barrels and take away different flavors.
Yeah, so we pretty much use the same base recipe for just about as far as the stouts go. Well, and the other ones too. If we make a batch of barley wine, or we do a Belgian quad, or we'll do Scotch ale, strong Scotch ale. Those are all 10+% alcohol. The higher ABVs seem to do a lot better in these barrels than lower ABVs. They need that extra time, which you're going to give it anyway, because you want that contact time with the barrel to pick up that flavor. And sometimes a lighter barrel or lighter beer into a barrel, kind of like we did with that Kentucky lager not too long ago. That's a fun experiment, but that only took like 2 months in the barrel, where most of these beers are a year plus. So to kind of give you
and is that just based on taste? You're just you don't say we're not getting this less than a year, or you just keep tasting it.
What would you put in a Malort barrel?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. More Malort?
You can't ruin a good recipe.
But yeah, as far as those base beers go, I don't know, when we brew them and formulate that recipe, again, we use kind of the same one, but we try to make it as complex and as flavorful as we possibly can. So we're adding a ton of different specialty malts. I mean, we'll add 2 or 3 different types of chocolate malt and 2 or 3 different types of crystal malt to give it a caramel flavor. And, you're trying to just layer these flavors on top of each other and come up with this beer that is just an explosion of flavor. And then you put it in the barrel. So, again, after brew day, it tastes terrible. But once it goes in the barrel and you wait a little while, which we don't start really tasting those barrels and checking on them until 6-8 months in, that'll be the first time I drill a hole in the barrel and really, start tasting, and we'll see what we got, kind of. And a lot of times it's like, yep, okay, the beer tastes good, but the barrel character is not there yet, so we let it go, kind of keep going. Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I think the lighter beers don't go well in the barrel is because, like he said, we're looking for an explosion of flavor. We want to get a lot of complexity in lighter beers. They don't generally have a lot of complexity, and they'll generally pick up a lot more flavor from the barrel, and that's why, like you said, we only got 2 months in with the Kentucky Lager before we actually, said we need to cut this off.
So what you're saying is I'm not a very complex guy.
Yep.
And,
you light beer drinker.
I don't know you well enough to say
I can see it. All right.
So is there a time frame in which you can use the barrel? Does it dry out too much or something like that?
It will dry out, yeah. Jeremy, talk about all your war stories of trying to patch a barrel back together so it holds liquid.
Okay, so there's a physical characteristic where it leaks.
Oh my God!
It is impressive.
Yeah, well, that's
impressive what you can do with a barrel. You take some wax, some beeswax, and a whole lot of elbow grease, and eventually you can stop up some pretty nasty leaks with barrels. and you always, you have the mindset that you're going to put a thick beer in there, and that thick beer is going to go in and it's going to oxygenate and it's going to get even thicker, and eventually it's going to stop up any leaks that are there. But you want to start with a barrel that is...
You don't want it peeing out beer when you put it in.
Exactly.
Well,
that's happened once or twice.
With tequila barrel.
Or 2 or 3 times. Yeah, that poor tequila barrel has had a lot of work done to it.
Yep. It's more wax than wood at this point.
I had a friend who had a...
it's going to be a wax-aged beer.
That's it. It's the bee's knees, man.
Yes, it is. Oh, there we go.
We got a name
now we have a name.
I had a friend who had a 1956 Century Resorter. Which was a...
Is it a Buick product?
No, it was a 17-foot wooden boat.
Oh, a boat.
Century boat.
Century boat. Gotcha. I'm sorry.
Resorter. Powered by a Gray Marine 6-cylinder. And at the beginning of the season, they would take the boat, it was on a trailer, and they would take a garden hose and just fill this thing up, fill the boat up on the inside.
On the inside?
It needed to swell so that it would not leak. And it was the same story.
That sounds like something Chris Craft would do or something like, because they're mostly wooden boats, aren't they?
They made a lot of wooden boats, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine
and if it dries out, you got to swell it so that it holds. So the same is true with a barrel. But I was more wondering about from a flavor content or the impact of the alcohol that used to be in that barrel. Is there a point where it evaporates out completely and there's no longer anything left in the barrel?
There's definitely flavor still there, even when it's really, really dry. But yeah, that alcohol content. I mean, we've seen them from so dry that, like we were saying, Jeremy's got to spend 3 hours down there playing with beeswax and trying to seal up these little cracks and leaks and everything. Dry as a bone. To picking up some from Stumpy's that he just dumped like a day or two before.
And still hear it sloshing around.
I'm rolling it around, and there's liquid coming out of the bung. It's like, whoa. So, yeah, I mean, you see it all, but yeah, you're right, that tequila barrel, we had to put our, we have an on-demand water heater, which gets water up to 185 degrees, so super duper hot, way hotter than your home will do, and we filled that thing up with hot water, hoping it would just swell up real big, and a lot of times if we have an issue with a barrel we think we might have an issue, we'll do that. Let's put hot water in it, let it sit a night, and then it's good to go.
Yeah, expand like you were talking about with the boat.
Yeah, this one, night after night after night of doing that, you'd come in and there'd just be a stream of, we had it right here in the brewery where we're sitting, you'd see a stream of where all the water went, and it's 4 inches lower than it was yesterday.
It's amazing to think about all the hours we put into that, just that one barrel.
I hope the beer tastes good.
It better. We'll start tasting that, in May?
It's going to be a $72 pint of beer.
Now, when they make barrels and they put the first pour of bourbon or whatever they're going to put in it, are those barrels are brand new at that point? Or
bourbon, they would be brand new, yes. Nope. Now, a tequila barrel, like in this case, that tequila barrel came from a bourbon distillery. Bourbon has to use a brand new barrel.
Now, when you say brand new, though, it's unused.
Correct.
But is it calendar new?
Like is the wood old, but it hasn't been used yet?
Yeah, but they make it on Tuesday and they filled it on Wednesday.
I think the government's definition of new is that it had nothing else in it before.
Unused.
So it could be old. And knowing Adam, obviously, from Stumpy's, I know that he's gotten a shipment of some barrels out of one particular cooperage, and like half of them leaked. And he's just like,
So they've been around a while.
When he gets a leak the size of this little glass in front of you, that's like a lot of money worth of leak.
Yeah, right.
Where our beer is, just a fraction of that cost.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned El Diablo earlier. Do you try to get the same kind of barrel for every batch of El Diablo, or do you change it up? Okay.
We part of the Diabolicious.
Yeah, right.
Yes, it's
Diabolish.
so Diabolish.
It's Diabolicious.
Diabolicious. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. No, we don't go that crazy as far as keeping that. Really, I'm just looking for anything that sounds interesting as far as a barrel goes. We've got a lot of different sources for barrels. As far, like I said, a lot of them come from our barrel picks, and we know where those are going. Stumpy's gets a lot of different barrels. They'll do some contract work with other, for other brands and other distilleries, that kind of thing. So he's got access to some really crazy barrels that are fun to just try and play with.
Okay.
So a lot of those, and it all goes by taste, really. Jeremy and I will go down there, we'll taste every once in a while. I'll make sure we taste once a month, but it's kind of we're going through to really let the taste of that beer decide where we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll try one and we're really happy with it. We know we're ready to, move it on to the next step, which would be bring it up to the bright tank and carbonate it. But some of those, we feel like we need to blend them just to get the flavors that we're looking for. Yeah. Or we might say this isn't as good as we wanted it to be and decide to add some flavors to it, and that becomes El Diablo.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So kind of like in the bourbon world where a single barrel from a name brand, Four Roses or Elijah Craig single barrel, it's not going to be the same every time you buy a bottle of Elijah Craig single barrel. So you come in and get El Diablo, it's not necessarily going to be like it was last year or whatever.
Be very, very similar, but not not necessarily exactly the same process. Yeah,
which is cool.
Yes, it is cool.
Thank you, because that's the way we do it.
No, I like that. You know,
it is in fact
if
cool.
I wanted the same thing every single time,
Right.
I wouldn't be drinking this. What else we're looking at here? We got more.
Let's
tastes.
take another taste. Let's see. The darkest one of the two sampler glasses.
Yep.
This is our German chocolate cake stout.
Ooh. Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte stout.
I can smell the.
Nice work.
Damn, huh?
Am I smelling some coconut in there?
You are, yeah. So it's got coconut and chocolate.
It's definitely coming across on the nose.
Yeah.
Oh, that's solid.
Finish is real nice and sweet. You get that German chocolate cake flavor.
Like you just took a bite of cake.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it is sweet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
Black Forest cake.
We've done a Black Forest cake too.
We do have
cherry
that one.
and cherry and chocolate. Yeah. We've done that before.
Now, is something like the German chocolate cake stout, is it a good seller? How's that? How long has it been on tap? And is this the first time you've done it?
Just put this on tap. Was it this week?
Yep, this week.
So I don't really have information on it.
Do you have any numbers on that?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
All right, fine. Is this the first time? This
next
is not
podcast, though, I'll let you know.
Annual thing.
He wants a report.
No, not
We've done
necessarily.
this
We've done it.
Okay.
We've done this before.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we've got so many questions for Jeremy, but we're talking about these different barrel-aged beers. You've got kind of an event coming up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we actually do. It's, what is it, February 11th, I
It
believe?
is, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing
right around the corner.
One-day only event. It's just giving people a chance to sample 12 of our barrel-aged beers
12.
side by side. Yeah, we're actually turning out quite a bit at once. We don't usually turn out this many at
I was
once.
going to say, at any given time, you only have one or two, right? Barrel-aged beers on tap?
On tap,
So
yeah.
12.
But we've got a lot going.
Right, a lot going.
Yeah. And a lot finished, too, that's just like hanging out, waiting for a chance to get on tap or finding a time for us to can it or do whatever we're going to do with it. And a lot of times you make these beers and it sounds like an awesome idea and it's like, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to, and then, well, I can't put 20 different barrel-aged beers on tap at the same time.
Sure.
Except February 11th we can.
Exactly.
And that's why it's one day only.
Yes.
Need to have an event.
Yeah. So, that thing is going to basically be come in. We'll have 2 different flights set up. So 2 flights of 6. And, you can try, both flights. And you would literally try all 12 of our
the flight
beers.
is pre-configured. Like, you get
It
flight
is, yeah.
1, and it's going to be these 6
to
beers.
make it
Okay.
easier. Unless
that's
literally no one
easier
shows
on
up, then we'll let people pick, But
I
we're trying to
imagine
make
people will
things
show up.
quick for the bartenders to just say, give me flight 1, and then they can just do it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you can buy full pours, whatever, full 8-ounce pours if you like, whatever you want to do. But
Now, Jeremy, how do you guys decide this beer is ready for February 11th? Just say it's February 11th. We got to get this beer out.
it's February 11th. Time to go.
Every
Buddy.
night.
A lot of tasting. It's a lot of tasting.
He
It's
knocks on the
hard
barrel and
work.
says, hurry up.
I have, it's one of the hardest things I have to do is taste barrel-aged beers.
Man,
over
that's
and
a tough
over
job.
and over
Yep,
and over.
over and over, and eventually it
Like,
gets
sorry,
old.
Chris, I got to go back.
No, it doesn't get old. It never. It really is. And what's great, like you said earlier, is that you're getting a variety of different barrels from different distillers, and even if you get the same distiller multiple times with the same beer, you're still ending up with a different product. So you're always getting different flavors, and every time we try different barrel-aged beers, it's like a surprise, like a gift.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And even, the one that you were kind of not a fan of 2 months ago, it's like all of a sudden, oh, you know what? This is turning a corner here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And
kinda
like
fun.
these 2 that we've done so far are nothing alike. Like, they're so different.
Well, yeah. Well, one was just straight barrel only, and then one had stuff added to it.
Okay.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
To go for that taste. Yeah.
Had some schmutz added to it.
Yes.
Now, we are in a
Bart.
very German community, and I think German chocolate cake is prominent at a lot of
easy
events.
You want to
No?
know a secret?
Uh-oh.
German chocolate cake was invented by some guy in Texas that his last name happened to be German.
There you go.
Well, I never had
German
it
chocolate
until I...
cake
so what was it, Schwartz? Or
Is
was it
9 German.
It's not German?
Ruined.
Well, I never had it
You
until I
ruined
moved
it
to
for me.
Waterloo.
Just happens to be a really good flavor
To me,
combination.
it's a Waterloo. It's a German thing.
Let
But
me
you're
ask
saying
you
it's
this.
not? All right.
Nothing German about it.
coconuts
Right.
in Germany?
I mean, you know.
He's got a point. Did nobody think
Wow.
about that?
This is so enlightening.
And it was next level stuff here, pal.
This
Coconuts
is.
in Germany. Very traditional.
I feel like you're not
it
going
a
to get this
fruit?
content anywhere else.
German palm trees.
I'm not
you
sure
will
if that's a
not.
good thing or not.
It's
But
not also.
so German chocolate cake is not German.
Critical thinking.
And
Sorry.
okay. So you're not appeasing the German community of Waterloo with
No,
this?
no, we're not.
He is
All right.
with good beer.
It tastes good. Either way, if
Right.
you like
We've got
German
other
chocolate
German
cake,
beer.
you're going to
Yeah,
like
we have
this.
so many
We've
others.
got plenty of German beer.
Yeah.
I appreciate where you're headed with
Sorry.
that.
Well,
But just
I
stop
mean-
right there. Do
Just saying, it tastes like German chocolate cake. It really does.
you want to try the next one?
Kind of. Can
All
we
right.
stop talking about German chocolate cake?
You see, the big secret is Chris's maiden name is actually German. So
His maiden name.
My maiden name.
this is nothing to do with German beer
German.
from Germany. It's,
Yeah, there's nothing German about us. I just happen to wear a lot of lederhosen. No big deal. Then the other one we have here is our Full Throttle. Full Throttle is a what's the ABV? 8%. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
say.
it was eight. I believe it was right at 8.
think
and
it's
we
right at
pulled
8,
this
yeah.
out of a Maker's Mark barrel, didn't we?
It was Makers. Part of it was Makers, and part of it was Stumpy's Wheat Whiskey. Their bottle
You're
of bond
right.
wheat whiskey that we tried a while back on another episode. Yep.
that was good.
And this is this is one of my favorite barrel aged beers that we make. It's an Imperial Red Ale.
Let's find out. That
I can drink a lot of that.
that's good. Yeah,
That is good.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
it's more dry,
I was gonna-
especially compared to that
is,
last
yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's like, all right, I can drink some of this.
Well, you pull a stout out of a barrel, and if you know anything about it, you're getting that sweetness. That sometimes it's almost too much sweetness,
Right.
and it lingers. This is not a beer that lingers too much, so I have to be careful because
'Cause you can drink a lot of them.
8%. It's really easy
It's
to
in
drink
there.
for me.
Yeah.
It's,
What was the percentage on the German Texas cake?
The Texas chocolate cake stout
it's
was
officially the new name.
I want to say that was around 12.5 to 13.
Power in that.
Yeah,
Everything's bigger in Texas.
everything. Literally everything.
Yeah, that's generally where we're heading. Our Imperial Stout is around 12%, and
Yeah.
sometimes we'll get up
11
to
to 13, pretty
13,
much.
and
is our
sometimes we'll get down to
range.
around 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said this is an Imperial Red. Where's the red characteristic defined?
Well, we use some
just
lighter
take a
grains.
color.
Look at it,
I mean, I
Kevin.
get that.
Doesn't that look red? No.
We don't use quite as many dark grains as we would in like an Imperial, a Russian Imperial Stout. And then we also usually use some roasted barley in there that'll give it some red color.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
It's good.
It's looking
It is good.
darker. So during the day when we brew,
In the sunlight.
it's like beautifully like ruby
yeah.
red. It's so
Gorgeous
great.
color.
But here at night when it's kind of
Right.
dark and we've got these kind of darkish lights in here, it's like, oh, awesome red. It looks kind of brown.
Actually, pretty clear for a
Yeah,
such
yeah,
a
I was
dark
going to say,
barrel-aged beer.
the first one we did
almost looks like
is
wine.
very dark, very wine look to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Almost has that dark red. And this has a little bit of the brown, transparent. You can see through it.
and this one we actually did a real light dry hop on.
Okay.
When it was all done in the barrel,
Yeah.
we put it back in these tanks and put a dry hop into it. So basically, you're just tossing hops right into the finished beer, giving it 2-3 days worth of contact time, and then finish the beer from there. And it just kind of so this was Pat Aaron's idea. He was on me forever and said, "You need to make a barrel-aged red ale," and I don't know, Pat, that's not a good idea. But
That's pretty good.
Turns out,
I think
turns
you hit
out-
the nail on the head.
yeah, he.
All right, now, February 11th, you got 12
Yes,
beers.
yes.
We've only got 3 here tonight. Is there one that kind of stands out? Like, hey, you got to try the... Which one?
the mint chocolate stout.
Right?
That's not barrel aged.
That's not barrel
so
aged.
it won't be there.
Which one should everybody go... What's your go-to, Jeremy, on the 11th? What are you going to tell people
We
to try?
did a not to shamelessly plug myself. We did
Yeah.
a chocolate orange stout. in
Chocolate orange.
an Elijah Craig barrel.
Oh, okay.
That
was great.
That turned out really good. It's one of my favorites. I'm looking forward to that. And I think that's going to be on. That'll be on.
For sure. And
Nice. Okay.
That recipe sounds good.
I was going to mention our double barrel stout. That would be mine that I'll for sure be trying.
Oh, yeah.
What
So
does that mean,
basically-
double barrel?
Well,
Two barrels,
we
I
wanted
assume.
to make sure to give this particular barrel a chance to shine in a second barrel. No, I'm sorry. It was actually leaking really badly, and we had
We
another
had to
leak.
transfer it really quick.
Like, let's
Tricks
just
of the
move it.
trade.
We're tired of cleaning this up.
No, we wanted all the complexity of the first barrel and the second barrel in that beer.
We're just going to call
But
it
that's what happened. Yeah.
double barreled. All right.
We just wanted a short visit in the
Yes.
first barrel.
Yes. Well, it was a very long visit, actually.
Yeah.
Until it
Short visit in the second. It was leaking the whole time, but we were just finally tired of it, I think. It's like, why do we have to keep cleaning this
Tired
up?
of scraping that
Yeah.
schmutz, that
The-
Bart
the
up on the floor.
The Bart
The
off
Bart.
the floor. We'll find out.
Yeah, for sure. So, when you're going to have 12 different barrel-aged beers at your event, where is all this aging happening?
So that's all in our basement. That's all in the speakeasy. We had a contractor come and build us. Basically, it's the same contractor that built Stumpy's Ricks inside their building behind the distillery. You figured they knew how to build Ricks because they just did it. So I was like, "Can you build us a mini one downstairs?" And they did. So I went and got some wood. I stacked it all down there for them. They came one day and put it all up, and we stored some barrels on it. So we've got storage downstairs for about 24 barrels on those ricks, and then we've got a couple other nooks and crannies. We can store 3 to 5 more.
Nice.
Yeah.
So those barrels are not cosmetic. That's the real deal down there.
Oh, they're full. Yeah. Please don't pull the nails out.
And you didn't just throw some wood together like you thought it might go. You got somebody that knows what they're doing to build a
that's
little mini
lot
rick
of-
house.
A lot of
heavy.
weight. Yeah.
I sure hope they know what they're doing because
They
I'm
better
getting up
know.
under those barrels.
Jeremy's the guy that has to
Yeah.
bounce around on all the barrels.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
it's
we've
like
got a stack of 3 barrels. The bottom floor,
Do you
middle, and
rotate
then top.
them like you would?
Of course.
Okay.
No.
All right. Oh,
No.
All right.
No.
Well, I was gonna
rotate it.
say, like, do they stay in the speakeasy? Do they ever go to some like hot third
No,
you put
they-
them up in the.
They stay right there.
Okay, and you don't go to the Masons upstairs and like give
to
them
the
a
top of the rick house.
So then
No.
you pour them off in place?
We use pumps.
You're not moving those barrels full?
No.
No,
Yeah.
no. We fill them in place and we pump out of them in place.
Yeah.
And when they're empty, we move.
Yeah, makes sense.
And Jeremy was moving the middle row, the whole middle row of 5 barrels had to get. They were all empty. Just happened that they were all kind of emptied around the same time. And one of them wasn't. I was like, just put this in that tank and we'll move the rest of them out. We'll put all the fresh barrels in. Because like that one in the corner needs to kind of be like, if the one in the corner is empty, you got to move everything
all,
to
yeah.
get So
And the one in the corner is covered. It's an L-shaped rick. So
Yes.
the one in the corner is covered on one side by a couple of barrels and on the other side by a couple of barrels. And the only way to get back into it is by emptying the barrels that are
right there around
right
it,
there in the way.
So Jeremy's Bouncing on the one layer of barrels, and he's got more barrels above him that he's trying not to hit his head on. What did I say was that Nickelodeon game?
Double Dare, wasn't
Double
it?
Dare.
Double Dare. Yeah.
It's like Double Dare because
It
he's
did
got
feel
like stuff falling from this barrel's leaking on his head. Oh, he's got some black stuff on his forehead.
I'm here to get slime.
He's slime.
Find the flag.
Yep.
I remember that.
That's how it is.
Wow.
That's how they find the flag. That's how the.
Okay, Jeremy. How does one become the head brewer at a brewery?
There you go.
What's funny is it was never my intention to be a brewer. I got out of high school and joined the military, and then since then,
Another Air Force guy, Kevin.
Yep,
Right on. Thank you for that.
Second one of the night.
Yeah.
awesome.
We tend to have Air Force guys on. I don't know if
We
you knew
only
It's a trend.
have Air Force guys on.
that. At least
No,
tonight.
we've had a Navy guy on.
We
have,
have.
yes.
That's right. We
Yeah.
have Josh. Yeah.
Josh Birchbacher. A great guy.
Shout out to Josh.
Sure enough.
Alderman 3. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, now he is, sure enough.
He's trying.
He's running. Yeah.
Oh, is he still
Yes,
running?
Hasn't been decided yet.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Sorry. Spent the majority of my adult life working for either the federal government or the state government. I worked for the state of Illinois for about 10, 11 years. And I had a friend that taught me how to homebrew. And he, great friend, we did extract brewing. We started getting into more flavors and trying to develop more out of our beer. Before we got too deep into it, he quit drinking, and I had to find more people that I could brew with. More people that had common interest with me. I was on Facebook, and I heard about the Firm Homebrew Club. Mm-hmm. And so I came here, and I attended the first Firm meeting, paid $5, and I haven't looked back ever since. Got a lot of good friends that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't, gone to that first meeting. And I met Chris, and a couple years later, I asked him if he was looking for a brewer. He said, it's funny, not right now, but if anything comes up in the future, I'll let you know. And then a few days later, his brewer, Becky, who was a bartender here, decided she wanted to go to nursing school. And he called me back and he said, "Hey, you still want to brew?" I said, "Yeah, it was 3 days ago." So yeah, I do.
Wow.
I do still want to brew.
Hey, about that conversation,
I didn't
4 days
realize
ago.
that was the connect. I didn't realize Becky and you, that timeline.
Yep.
Okay.
That was all right then. Yep.
And that was
Nice.
September 28th of 2000 is when I started.
We love Becky, by the way.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
For sure.
But
the
we're
best.
But
The
we're
best.
glad she quit. Is
I'm-
that what we're
I
saying here? I
think-
don't know.
Well, she's nursing now, so
right.
she's helping
She's
people.
a big,
She's helping
higher
people. We're all
purpose.
helping people.
Yes.
Yes. People
Different
helping
people.
people.
Yes, different problems being fixed.
Interesting. So Becky's stepping out allowed you stepping away
Stepping aside.
Yeah,
allowed a
moving
spot
over,
for you.
yeah.
Okay.
I got out
Cool.
of a job that I was stuck in and that I just wasn't happy with, and I followed my passion, I guess. Look for a job
Now,
that.
I would assume many of our listeners might wonder: is this a full-time gig? Like, is this your job, or do you have another job?
This is my main job. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
He's
cool.
here
Cool.
usually before I'm here.
Yeah. They say Chris doesn't do much
He's
around
defi-
here,
he's
so
definitely,
yeah.
I don't anymore.
He's going to be here earlier and earlier than you are as
Yeah.
time goes
No,
on.
don't kid yourself. Jeremy does the heavy lifting around
Okay.
here. He's the man. So yep.
It's a team effort. We got a good
Yeah.
group of brewers. Chris gets things started for us, and then we've got Andrew and
Yep.
Steve
Steve,
that are
yep.
just huge helps.
Josh on
yeah.
the weekends and yeah.
Josh comes in and
It's-
helps keg, and
Everyone kind of does their own part, and everyone knows the role, and
Are they full-time as well?
they're all part time.
Part-time.
The
Are
rest,
you,
yeah.
Is Jeremy the only
Yeah.
full-timer? Okay. Now, how often do you just like shoot down Chris and just be like, no, that is not how you make this beer?
Jared, come on.
Is he
that
the
doesn't
true
happen.
beer master?
Why would that
Okay.
ever happen?
He's still
Why would-
working here, Jared.
True. Yes.
Not too soon, Jared.
He knows when to keep it quiet.
I will brew the beers that he gives me recipes
Yes.
for.
Okay.
I guess that's kind of the flow. Like I come up with the calendar, like this is what we need to brew and when and why and because, and I write the recipes out. Jeremy takes that recipe sheet and
Does whatever he wants.
does whatever he wants with it.
I might do
No, he
what he
pulls it
says,
off
and then sometimes I don't.
Flawlessly. I mean, honestly, he does an awesome job. If
thank
you've
you.
tasted any of the beers that we have on tap,
Yeah.
Jeremy made them. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
might
thank
have
you.
stirred some stuff or thrown some hops in, but like Jeremy was the guy that carbonated the beer
did
the
and
work. Yeah.
transferred the beer. And you can mess up a beer 100 different times during the transfer. And that's all Jeremy. So if it's screwed up, that's Jeremy's fault.
It's all Jeremy's fault.
If we dump a
Good.
beer,
It's all Chris's fault.
If we dump a beer, it's my fault.
or Chris's. Yeah, if it's bad, it's Jeremy's fault.
luckily the Waterloo wheat that we dumped was not my fault.
That was my
Right.
fault.
Glycol.
That's
So
the
that wasn't your
glycol.
fault.
Yeah.
He had
Glycol.
every chance to press that button.
I
for
could have
the
just
red
pressed the damn
reset.
button. Yeah.
You see a
Push
red
the
light, you push the button.
That's it.
Now, during that 2022 recap, we talked about there were 44 one-off
Yeah.
beers, not counting the 16 on tap. Is that overwhelming to you, or is that like no big deal? 44 beers sounds like a lot of beer to brew throughout
You know
the
what's
year.
funny is that when I saw that list, it surprised me quite a bit because I was amazed to think, okay, we're turning out our year-round beers, meaning the beers that we do all year. And then we're also turning out this many one-off beers.
I couldn't believe it when
Blew
I
my
first
mind.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I looked back at my history here brewing, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that just in the time that I've been here, I've brewed that many beers, and some of them more than once.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was impressive.
It's not the same thing every day.
Exactly. It keeps you guessing.
Right.
Now, I think we talked about on that episode one of your top 5 or of many honorable mentions, I don't remember, was Jeremy's beer, right?
Was that the orange chocolate?
It might have been.
Or was that?
Did he have he had the label,
I'm trying to
right?
decide what
Steve's was on his
I did
list.
Steve's.
Steve's,
That's
Belgian
right, yeah.
swing single, yeah.
Do you have a beer?
The
beer?
orange chocolate
Orange
is my
chocolate.
beer. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
you had it on tap at the time. Is that the one that had the Castro logo?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
that's
me.
what we're talking about,
I'm
yeah.
Fidel.
Castro.
Yeah,
Fidel.
That's Fidel.
Somebody actually got me a Fidel Castro shirt and told me I had to wear it while
should
drinking
definitely
one
wear
of
it.
my beers.
You should
And
wear it
I've
every
done
day to work.
I've got a picture. I've done it.
I can see the visual, but I don't really envision Castro drinking chocolate orange.
Well, you know.
Oh, why not?
So what do you think he is drinking?
Yeah.
That's a great question. What would...
Rum?
yeah,
What do
that's-
dictators drink?
That's what I'm thinking is some
I'm just Joe Dictator here. What can I?
Yeah.
What do I want?
If anybody knows the
pretty
answer to
hard.
that, it's Chris.
I feel like
Yeah. What do dictators drink, Chris?
Well, they drink German chocolate cake.
German Texas chocolate cake.
Yes, Texas chocolate cake. I had no idea.
Texas
I thought that was a
sheet
German
Yeah,
thing.
sorry about that.
Yeah,
I thought
you
there was
ruined-
like palm trees in Germany.
I
that
remember
they
my
grabbed
great
coconuts
grandma,
from.
who was German, baking me German chocolate cake stout, and it's all that's ruined now.
Texas.
Sorry.
What the heck? Thanks, Chris.
Well, there's a lot of German culture in Texas, but it's
Yeah.
not that.
right.
So we were talking about the event on February 11th, and there's going to be the 2 different flights. And as we were talking, some of your patrons came down with the giant flight, which is unbelievable.
Oh,
it's a
oh,
two-man
yeah.
operation.
Yeah, that's the
it's
full
flight.
flight
there.
Yeah.
Tell us about what the full flight story is, because that's
Yeah.
impressive.
We call that the all 18.
Yeah,
That's because
that's 18 holes.
you get all 18.
That's how many beers we've got on tap.
They're not messing around.
That's every single one.
And it's not like a shot glass full of every single.
It's 4 ounces of all 18. So yeah, you need a buddy for that one, or a
long
sober
day.
driver,
You might.
Yeah.
or a sober
Yes, an
driver. One of the
Uber,
two.
yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's always fun to see, because they start out and they're so happy and they're so proud, so much pride going on.
They
and
start
then,
out so happy.
yeah, they do, and then they get like halfway done, and you can see like they're like, oh man, this was like a little more than I thought.
This is a marathon.
Yeah, like dang,
This is trying to eat the
quite a few
72-ounce steak at the Big Texan.
Yeah,
Right.
and then
Yes.
towards the end, they're like,
The old
oh man,
96er.
oh man, I think I'm almost done. Like then they kind of get happy again,
That
and then
euphoria
it's fun to
kicks in.
see like the beers that they like drank first,
Right.
and maybe like some that they left a little bit in. They're like, not
Yeah.
really my jam, and so I don't know. I use that as feedback on what I brew next.
Right.
No, I don't.
Of course.
You got to
He's watching
start.
everybody that gets a flight.
Yes,
You got to start with the ones that you don't like first.
that is true. Yeah, get
Yeah.
those out of the way.
Yeah, get them out of the way, and then
Save the good ones for
Everything
the
gets
end.
more enjoyable. But
Really,
yeah.
the question is, what can you drink warm? Because especially if it's only 1 to 2 people,
Yeah.
something at the end is going to be warmish by the time
Right.
you're
You know
done
what's
with
interesting is I have no problem with warm
it. Oh, I don't either.
liquids, warm beer,
Especially if
warm-
it's something good. That's why you
Yeah,
save the best
yeah.
one for last. Like
Yeah,
I can drink
yeah.
a warm Stubbornfest, no problem.
Oh, yeah,
Not
give me a-
warm, but
Give me a warm old Ledger.
50 degrees
I'll
instead
do it.
of 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good stuff. Deer
Absolutely.
beer. Deer
Ooh,
beer.
bring it.
Real
Bring
good
it.
warm.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, Jeremy, we appreciate your efforts. You do a heck of a job here. It's,
Well,
it's
thank
good
you.
stuff.
He does. And I appreciate
Oh,
it
yeah.
too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We kind of didn't get into the nitty gritty, like, how do you brew a beer?
I
But maybe that's the next time that we have Jeremy on, because we're running out of time. But
Well, it goes by so quick.
it does, it does.
How do you brew a beer?
Do you
Hey,
have
Jeremy,
a favorite? Like,
how do
what's
you
your
brew beer?
favorite to drink,
Hey,
and what's your
Siri.
favorite to brew?
You know what's funny is my least favorite and most favorite beer to brew are the same beer,
Oh, okay.
and that is the Waterloo Wheat.
Waterloo wheat. All right. Apparently, the glycol cooler has to be precise.
Yes,
Right on.
yes,
Yes.
but not just that. It's such a labor-intensive beer, so it just takes everything in you. But the labor is meant to bring out flavors. and bring out smells and aromas that you wouldn't normally get. And as a result, brewing that beer, you just like if you walk in the room when you get that Waterloo wheat going, it's just the best smells.
It is a great smelling.
It's a great smelling brew day.
I think they call those flavors.
Oh, that could be
Flavors of labor.
flavors of, instead of fruits. It's flavors.
Flavors.
I like it.
Flavors.
One of my best friends, that is her go-to beer. That is her favorite beer here. So,
You know, I'm not a huge wheat beer Hefeweizen fan, but the flavors that come out in that one, the flavors are exceptional. Exceptional.
nice.
It's one of my favorite beers to brew, and I enjoy it very much. My favorite beer to drink, I would say, is probably Shits and Giggles. It's always been right up there on my list. It's it's not too heavy, but it's dark. You get a lot of flavor. You can drink it all night.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had some nights on Shits and Giggles.
You and me both, brother.
Oh, yeah. Especially some of those
Together.
parties, when you bring the cooler out. So, in your Air Force career, did you work in other countries, or were you here only?
I was predominantly here. I never really got to travel. It's funny that you say that. I joined the military thinking that I was going to get out and see the world. Yeah, and I was born in Belleville, and I went back to Scott Air Force Base, and that was where I spent my military career.
See St. Clair County.
See
All
St.
of it.
That's it, and that's what I saw. There was not a single stateside assignment on my dream sheet. A dream sheet is a sheet that you fill out when you get out of tech school that tells you, that's
cool.
where you want to go. Not a single stateside assignment on my dream sheet, and I still, I went right back to Scott Air Force Base.
Now, are you in Waterloo now?
I'm in Redbud now.
Redbud, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Right on.
Yep, I live in Redbud with my wife and son. I've got a daughter just moved to Tennessee, and she is expecting a boy in a few months. So I'm going to be a granddad.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Grandpa Jeremy. Yeah.
That's me.
Grandpa Jeremy Stout. I can see it now.
We're going to have to come up with a
Grandpa
recipe.
Jeremy.
Like Chris says, we either got a beer that needs a name or a name that needs a beer.
That's right.
I got a bunch of dumb names. So
Now,
That's why I like you, Kevin.
It ought to go without saying, but we give Chris and Tammy props all the time for what they do in the community with this brewery and what it means to Waterloo. But really, it ain't Chris.
No,
it's
it ain't
Jeremy.
me.
He's the head brewer.
I'm over here sucking up all the...
Yes.
A
he's the glory sponge over here.
A monkey could do what I do.
He's writing up lists and, schmoozing with the community.
Stop it.
I'm just doing what the recipe says.
Jeremy's brewing the beer. So,
well, what I think is
so.
really the point there to make is that Chris was able to find somebody trustworthy and capable.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the brewery didn't go down because of a bad person
Right.
choice,
Yeah.
which things happen. You
Yeah.
get the
Absolutely.
wrong button, the wrong seat, you got a problem.
So one of the biggest compliments I've ever taken was listening to these podcasts, and just over the course of the podcast, I've heard you guys say a couple of times, this beer this last year has improved.
Right.
And I take that as a huge compliment because Chris and I have tasted that beer. We've developed that beer into something different, and a lot of times it turns out really good. And we run with it.
Yep.
I think the biggest compliment is that you listen to this podcast.
Oh, thank you.
That's what I heard, Kevin.
No, but you're right. There is a constant improvement, which is great.
And there needs to be. If you don't evolve, you're not going to keep up with this. I mean, there's over 1,000 craft breweries developed in this country every day.
Yeah.
So, you got to keep up with this trend for sure. So we're constantly altering our recipes and trying to make things better.
Well, you are much appreciated here.
Thank you.
I imagine all of our listeners are very glad that you're here.
Your podcast is much appreciated. I love hearing you guys every week.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for that. And what I think is cool is now people listening, they've got a connection to Jeremy.
That's right.
There you go.
But what
Come
they
on in and say
really
hi.
want to know about is the German word of the day.
Oh, do they?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
That's
do you
all
mean
that matters.
Bart?
Pretty sure I nailed it.
Bart. Yes.
Bart, let's see. Bart, so Jeremy said that it was the schmutz that comes out of the
schmutz.
barrel after it's been emptied. It's a great guess. Kevin said it means drop, and then he changed it to barrel.
He pivoted.
So we're going to leave those both there. He can have
Drop
both of
and
them if he
barrel.
wants.
You can have both.
Because neither of them are right. But, and then
half a
Jared
point.
said bucket,
Bucket.
which we've done before, and it's
Have
definitely
we?
not
I
Bart.
don't recall
They
that.
haven't changed the word yet.
Dang it.
And I had to throw some love to Jeremy with his big old beard.
Beard.
Bart means beard.
Bart
All right.
means beard.
Bart? Beard? Bart?
It makes
All
sense.
right,
No,
but,
it
you
does.
know, after you say what it is, it always makes
It
sense.
always makes more sense.
I just want to say, people have said to me more than once in the context of Jeremy, "Oh, you've got a beard like Jeremy," and I'm like,
No, you don't.
not at all.
No.
Like Jeremy's beard is epic.
Oh, yours
Mine is
very,
just it's just
very
there.
It's very nicely
No,
trimmed and
you
groomed.
Can,
and
that's fine. You can say that. Your beard is like, we're not in the same stratosphere of beards, so
I bet you don't eat your mustache
I
very
don't.
much.
I try not
so
to
there's
eat
that.
it. It's got to be a lot of work, right?
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy's had people go missing in his beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to comb it out every other day to make sure somebody isn't struggling,
Struggling.
looking for a way out.
So at some of the events that I MC, namely a couple of four-wheel drive truck shows, we were doing beard contests.
Oh, okay.
Really?
And the challenge was to not make them all about length, right?
So you tie them together and let them pull?
Well, it was...
truck pull?
With the four-wheel drive? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember who the Russian dictator was was it Ivan the Great who used to do beard burnings?
Beard burning?
Oh, yeah. If he caught you against the program, they put you in the public square and lit your beard on fire.
No way.
Yeah, tie your hands behind your back and let
Man.
it burn. Yeah, those guys don't screw around.
I guess not.
But
What do you do in that case? Like, you don't wave your head around. That's just going to feed it
I
oxygen.
think you point your chin as high as you
Stop,
can.
drop, and roll.
Yeah,
Just
hope it
let
doesn't burn your face
Yeah,
off.
just let it go, man. Wow. But we didn't do that at our contest.
Oh, good.
Good.
But it was all about the
What did you
texture and the grooming, and then we would ask them a series of questions to get a personality side of the beard. Like, if your beard had a name, what would it be? And then, what
Jeremy?
would your...
It would be Jeremy. Bart.
There you go.
Nice.
So, but then the next question is, what would your beard think its name should be?
God.
Buffalo wings.
Because it's obviously conceited.
God.
Bucket.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's conceited.
Thinks too much of itself. Come April, when I trim it all off, it'll be different.
There we go.
Yep.
Well, this was great. I appreciate you joining us. Learned a
I had
lot.
a great time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Learned a lot on this one.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. It was our pleasure. This is the Stubborn German Podcast, and you can subscribe to this thing if you like, and that way it won't be hit or miss. You'll get it every time. And how convenient is that, right?
So convenient.
Just push the button. And for Mr. Chris Ron and Jared Chasson and Mr. Jeremy the Brewer, we say Prost.
We are recording, by the way.
Oh, man.
Man, I'm intimidated. There's a lot of dark liquid in front of us.
Yeah, this should be fun.
Dark
There's a lot
liquid.
of
I don't know
dark
if I call
liquid.
it beer.
You'll find out.
It
man.
looks like motor oil.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean,
Tastes
that's
a little
that's a
better.
good thing. Yeah.
Tastes a little better than motor oil.
I almost drank my microphone.
It's been a good night.
It has been a good night. I'm not even finished with anything
That's
yet.
a thing, isn't it?